Hello, and welcome to the Wired for Success podcast. I'm your host, Janelle McKinnon. Thank you for joining me this morning. How are you doing? Are you feeling stuck, lacking motivation, and a will to get up and win? If you've stumbled onto this life changing podcast, you will learn how to succeed in every area of your life. Welcome to another marvelous Monday, everybody. Welcome if you're new. Welcome if you're now returning after a long hiatus. Welcome back. Hey, I hope you had a really enjoyable weekend. Hope you got stuff done or you got rest done because rest needs to be prioritized. Remember, we talked about rest and reset. So if you've been going, I hope you take the time to rest. And if you are on the ball, hitting those targets, working hard towards your dreams, your aspirations, don't give up now. You got to keep going. Today, I want to talk a little on critical thinking. It's funny because oftentimes when we hear this term critical thinking, we associate it with those in corporations, certain terms you associate with certain places. Don't lie to me. When you hear the term critical thinking, you're thinking, oh, somebody in a big organization doing big things, great things, things that the average person wouldn't do. But today I want to break down critical thinking to you and to bring you to a place of understanding that critical thinking is for everyone. Yes, it is for you at home as well as for those who are in the corporations who are big bosses, who are, high level supervisors, and it's even for the person who wants to navigate their life well. So that's how close I want to bring it home that you may not be someone who is an entrepreneur, you may not be in a corporation, so to speak, but then critical thinking should not be something that evades your life. It should be a part of who you are. Once you are born into this world, you must be willing to develop your ability to be a critical thinker because it's what the world needs and it's what you need if you're going to be successful in life, if you're going to be wired for success, you must be a critical thinker. Now, what is critical thinking? We've heard this term. If you are hearing it for the first time, that's okay too, because that's what it's all about. It's a learning process over here on the Wired for Success podcast. And so, what is this term? First, I want to take from Google. Here's what Google has to say about critical thinking. It is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. That is so wordy. You may be saying like, "Hey girl, you lost me." But don't get lost in the sauce. It's just a whole lot of words that if you take it apart, you'll understand that the first thing about critical thinking is that it is something that is intellectual. It's happening from your mental faculties. It's happening up there in your brain. It's being able to observe. It's being able to analyze. It's being able to even gather information, when you gather it through your observation, through your experience and your own reflection, you can rightfully decipher the information, take it apart, and make good decisions. People who make good decisions are good critical thinkers. That means they know how to gather information. Let's say you are maybe a HR manager or something, and one of the things you face up with a lot is conflict between employees or conflict between managers and supervisors or lower level employees, top level management. So, how do you resolve these conflicts? You must be a critical thinker, someone who's able to gather the information from both sides. You gather it, and then you're able to sit and evaluate. You're able to sit and analyze. You're able to sit and apply. You're able to sit and synthesize this information and then produce the best output or speak to the best output in this. You gather your information, and then you're able to make an informed decision. How many of us make decisions that are not informed? When you jump ahead, when you're ill informed, you make the worst decisions. When you don't take the time to gather information and make decisions, you, I don't want to say all the time, because there may be, of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, and sometimes you have to make quick decision. Making a quick decision does not automatically mean that it's an uninformed decision. Sometimes you are able to make a quick decision because of past experience. So even though in that situation you may not have all the information at the point in time, based on what happened before, you're able to make a well-informed decision. So all of that plays a role in critical thinking. And so, bringing it closer to our personal lives, I believe that we need to be our most critical thinker for ourselves. Don't have people thinking for us. That's why it's important to spend time with yourself. Know who you are. Know what you want to do. Know what you want to be. Most importantly, who you want to be. Know who you are at your core, your values, your belief, what makes you a person that has integrity. How do you show up in the world? What do you stand for? When you know those things, and when you operate from those core beliefs about yourself, you're able to be a critical thinker for yourself in your own life. You know, there's something that happens a lot. Let's say people who belong to cults, and we know cults are groups that end up believe the most outrageous things. Lots of times they are seduced into, it's like a brainwashing takes place, and people sit and they say, oh, that person is so stupid. And when you look at it, these people who aren't doctors, who aren't lawyers, who weren't this and that, but there is something about the soul of a man when it's broken and you don't do the work, when you don't work out your salvation with fear and trembling to pull on the promise and to have the promise where the Lord says that he will make us whole. When we don't do that, even though we are in boss positions and we show up all educated, your soul is fragmented. And when that part of you is fragmented, you are drawn and seduced into things that will leave you yourself in shock and awe, wanting to know, how did I end up here? How did I attract this? Where did this come from? How and what and where? It's coming from your soul that is unhealed. Yes. And so when you, even though you are educated in these things, when you don't do the soul work, when you don't come into your wholeness, you are not able to be an effective critical thinker for your own life. That means that you're not able to gather information that allows you to make good decisions. And you need to make good decisions. You need to. So sorry about that break in transmission. These are the things. Yes, so back to being this critical thinker. So spend the time to develop your skills, your ability to reason. First of all, you must have clarity of mind when you're gathering information, because we all have our biases, and that's why being a critical thinker is important. It plays a role because you have to gather information information from both ends of the spectrum. And based on what you gather, the data, you must analyze and evaluate and then make the decision based on what is presented in front of you. I I want to speak quickly on what are some of the examples of being a critical thinker. Analytical thinking is one. Some people, they are not good at analyzing stuff. It is a skill that must be developed. Like I said, I'm sorry that they removed reasoning from the curriculum in schools. I remember, like I said, the other day in primary school, reasoning was a subject that we did, and I wish that we would have continued doing that subject all the way through high school, so that we could really reason life out, like at an early stage, an early age, and that that subject matter could have had more depth too. I think because it wasn't maths, it wasn't English. I think a lot of people, I don't know, it just got dropped, and I don't understand why, but it's something I would love to see return, and I would love to see more real life scenarios being taught in schools as well. However, that's neither here nor there. Having good communication skills, being someone who knows how to communicate, that's good for critical thinking. And being a creative thinker, being able to think outside the box. We know that many times person think, oh, only people who are technologically inclined are creative thinkers. No, I think that a mother who is in a home, takes care of her children, is a very good creative thinker, because how she makes things happen, it's creative to me. How she's given a house and she makes it into a home, that is creative. Being able to cook meals, sometimes from a lot and then some days from nothing much, a delicious meal, that is creative thinking. You have to be open minded. Like I said, you can't have all your biases uh, really shift and persuade you. You have to be open minded. If you're going to be a critical thinker and you are gathering information, then, my friends, you have to gather information regardless of what you believe and all these things. If you're going to be a critical thinker, you also must be someone who's able to solve problems. Not give problems, but solve them. Are you solving your problems at work? Are you able to do that? Not when problems come and you're always running to your supervisor, your manager. Oh, we have this problem, that problem. Let me tell you something. It's beautiful. It's good that you can identify the problem. But what is even more great than that is having a solution for that problem. Like, don't go to your boss just about the problems. You can say, well, listen, manager, whomever, I recognize this is our problem, but I have a solution for this. And let me tell you, you will win tremendous points. Don't just be highlighting issues. Be someone who has the solution, or you have a plan or something that can be recommended for the problem that you're bringing to the table. And trust me, management, people will look at you differently for that. Ask thoughtful questions. I know many times in the classroom, you're hot, you're bothered, you want to go home, you're studying what's for lunch, what's for dinner, all the things, right? And you want to beat up on the person who's asking a lot of questions. Some people are just asking questions for asking questions' sake, and I think that is that is something else by itself. But if you're someone who is a critical thinker, then you will be asking thoughtful questions, questions that will help you to solve problems, questions that will help you to be more open minded, questions that will help you to become have a greater level of analyzing information. You're going to be critical all around when you are someone who sits, observes, evaluates, and communicates effectively. Be a critical thinker in your life, even if now you are sitting and you're wondering which avenue should I go in my life. That's a critical decision. What career path should I take? It's a critical decision, so you have to gather your information. You may be wondering what mate best suits you. You may have your choice. You may have gone on a few dates. There are a few good prospects. So now you have to sit down and your critical thinking has to go in gear. You have to draw the data that you have collected from the prospective people, sit with it and decide based on who I am, who I am, and who I am aspiring to be, that this person and who they are and who they're aspiring to be can also fit into my life, and I can fit into theirs. So that's critical thinking. Even the economics in a family, as a leader in your home, you have to be a critical thinker with your money, with the economics of your family. How or at what stage are you going to be able to own your own home, have a vehicle, because these things are so necessary in life today. It's not for showbiz. I mean, some of us live far away from where we need to get to, from our jobs, from our churches, from our different friends, families. So we need to get around. These are necessities, things that we need. And so you have to be a critical thinker as a husband, as a wife, even as a child coming up. Teach your children to be a critical thinker. Show them how to gather data, how to collect information, and then based on the information, how to make informed decisions. Like parents, you have a chance to really do these things with your children. If you don't have children, you have a chance to do it with the world. That's what I'm doing. And so I'm saying we all can be, or if we're not there yet, we should aspire to be critical thinkers. You have to be. And I want to give this side note. You may say to me, listen, I haven't gone to school, I don't know how to read, I cannot be a critical thinker. Yes, you can. And I want to challenge you that you're not too old to learn how to read. Reading is fundamental, and that's no shame to anyone who doesn't know how to read. But even though you may not be a reader, you're still a critical thinker, because you're getting by in life. You know how to count money. You've been making decisions. You're married. You have children. Because I know people like that, married, have children, and they work. They don't work an office job, but they have a skill, and that skill that they have calls for creativity. And remember, we said that creativity is a critical thinking skill. So don't say to me that you are not these things. All of us have so much on the inside of us. It is a disservice to the world when you don't show up and be your best. It is a disservice to your children when you don't show up and be your best. It is a disservice to the God that we serve when we don't show up and be our best. So be encouraged this Monday morning to walk with a critical mindset. Be a critical thinker in your family. Be a critical thinker as an entrepreneur. Be a critical thinker as a pastor, as a leader, as a board member. Wherever you find yourself as a child, even a child, if you're listening, you can gather information and you can make informed decisions too. You can be the boss of the home, but you can start to charter a path for your life, knowing early on who you are, where you want to be. Be a critical thinker as a manager. Continue to show up. Continue to be great. God bless you. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. If this podcast has stirred you up, blessed you in some way, be sure to share, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps in the algorithm, helps the podcast to gain greater visibility for more, because we need more over here. God bless you. Bye.